What a mad race. Mexicans, they just love Formula One, don't they, Damon?
It's just a carnival the whole time. It was all about Checo, wasn't it, really?
Now, here's the thing, folks. We're doing something a bit different because of the schedule this week. Damon's jumping on a plane. So we're actually recording inside the Formula One paddock. We can see the Forosol Stadium behind us where that podium took place. There's a lot of background noise, but the vibe, and we're now 2 hours after the race, is still astonishing.
Yes, it is. I think that, with 22 million Mexicans in Mexico City, I don't know if they have far to go, but it'll be gridlock out there, won't it? I mean, it's normally gridlock anyway, but without having a big event like this.
Well, there's no hurry to leave, but let's get this show on the road, Damon.
Yeah. This is the F1 Nation podcast.
For the third consecutive race, he's going to extend his lead in the Drivers' Championship, and for the third time here, he wins the Mexico City Grand Prix. Max Verstappen crosses the line, a long, long way clear of the rest.
Yes! What a race. Oh, that was great, guys. What an unbelievable pace in the car.
Hamilton finishes second.
I gave it everything. Just don't have the pace.
And for the first time ever, we'll have a Mexican driver on the podium in his home race. Sergio Perez comes home to finish third.
I'm so happy we won in my country. Thank you, guys. Now time for some tequila.
Welcome, folks. It is, as Damon says, the F1 Nation podcast with me, Tom Clarkson, the 96 world champion, Damon Hill. And I am delighted to say that we have, what do we call you, Jack? Our Dutch correspondent, Jack Plooij,
correct,
from
Tom.
Ziggo
Thank
Sport.
you.
It's great to have you with us as well.
Tom, Damon, thank you.
Hey, Jack, I'm guessing Holland is a happy place as well tonight.
Yesterday was a different ball game. Ooh. Yeah, totally shocked. Holland was shocked. Yeah, absolutely. Was Red Bull not performing well, or was Mercedes doing well? That was the big question.
And what did you conclude?
We concluded that Red Bull didn't do their job properly. Mercedes didn't do extremely well. They did very good teamwork, and that teamwork didn't work today. Is that correct what I say? Yeah.
Well, so it was a Mercedes front row lockout with the two Red Bulls behind. Damon, did you get excited after qualifying? Did you think, oh, hang on a minute, hang on?
Yeah, I did, and I kept thinking back to, you remember when Lewis was huffing puffing about Red Bull being 6/10 or 4/10 quicker than him, and he was sort of going, man, it's 6/10 or something. Oh. I was thinking, is he putting this on? So we were all wondering whether Mercedes was sandbagging, because obviously in qualifying they put it on the front row. But now we found out the answer. They weren't sandbagging. I think it was more that Red Bull got it all wrong in qualifying.
They did, but can I have a bit of a shout out for Valtteri Bottas? All right, I thought in quali he did a really good job. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, excellent. Absolutely. Amazing. We were surprised. And there he is again, Valtteri Bottas. Yeah, suddenly he pops up. He can do this.
Yeah.
He can do a one-lap qualifying on his top level.
I've got this theory that since he's been given his marching orders by Mercedes, he's relaxed and he's become a better racing driver. What does our in-house racing driver think of that?
I agree with you. I think he seems much more relaxed, and I think he's delivered some fantastic qualifying performances. But I've often said, what is the difference? People ask, what is the difference between the great world champions and the rest of us? And I think the answer is it's consistency. It's being able to do it all the time, not just occasionally. And so, but Valtteri's a very fine driver. He's done a fantastic job. But you're right, he's kind of been released a little bit from whatever was holding him back before.
How was it for you? I mean, Jack, do you remember back to 1996? This man sat next to me is fighting for the World Championship. And then I think it was the Hungarian Grand Prix. We all got word that he wasn't going to be a Williams driver the following year. And did you in any way feel a sense of release, or was it just frustration after that?
Well, I felt like, okay, that's fine. They can't chuck me out mid-season, so I've got 1.5 season left to be able to
They can.
Well, they could have. Yeah, it didn't happen that often in those days, but you tend to say, okay, well, to yourself, look, all that matters is using what you have been given and using it for yourself. And so you become a little bit more selfish. You don't worry about what other people think, and don't worry about what they want, whether you're satisfying anyone else. You just have to satisfy yourself.
Do you know what I worry? today, when Valtteri and Ricciardo, they had a little fight at the beginning. They both went off, so no problems for the stewards of the meeting, I think. But then, Valtteri was behind Ricciardo for a long time. Can you imagine? I would have eaten that car, because that guy in front of you ruined your race. And then I see a Valtteri Bottas, which I don't think he's a tiger. Because I think he would have... Huh? What would you have done? Everything to get rid of that car in front of you.
Well, if you'd had a car that had an advantage, I mean, you need quite a big advantage here to get past anyone. But you had to go. But I mean, a couple of points. I don't want to turn this into a kind of a criticism of Valtteri.
No, of course not. That's never.
No, but you're right. When you're looking at a car which McLaren, which is you assume is not as good as Mercedes, then why didn't Valtteri get past? And we've been joined here by someone who knows a little bit about Red Bull,
Alex Albon. So it's brilliant. Our vantage point. We're sat in seats between the Red Bull and the Mercedes hospitality. Now, Alex, very quickly, your car was dynamite around this racetrack, wasn't it? Did it go even better today than you were expecting?
It was good. Obviously, I think actually. Well, I have to kind of understand where the pace in qualifying went, but you can almost see it as the reason why we couldn't get the tyre switched on is maybe why the race itself went so well, because the tyre life, the tyre deg was very good, and obviously Max had a very good start, which always helps, but also Checo was super quick the whole race, so it seems to be a good track for us, that's for sure. But yeah, I would say if you speak to Will, who's our strategist, he wouldn't have said we'll come out with a first and a third.
Are you the reason Yuki Tsunoda is coming on so strong in the second half of this season?
No, not at all. But he's finding his feet. He's finding confidence, and that's really what it is in Formula One, especially with these cars. There's such a small window in them, and also it's just good to have someone to talk to. I think he's from Japan. He's come here, and it's all new.
Alex, thanks. Travel safe. So we have got the whole of the Red Bull team walking past us now. What chance of persuading Checo Perez? Checo, are you ever going to have to pay for dinner in Mexico ever again?
Well, I paid on Wednesday. I got all the team together, and that was a pretty expensive night. So yeah, I don't think I'll get away with it.
Checo, what a tremendous weekend by you. It's just, it's all coming together for you, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's important to finish on a high, because at the end of the day, it's what really matters to get both championships and give the momentum for the team.
Travel safe to Brazil. Thanks.
Oh, there he is, the man.
The man himself, the leader of the band, Christian Horner. It's brilliant. We've had all your guys coming past us. Checo reckons he's not going to have to pay for dinner in Mexico ever again. I don't think you will either, will you?
No. Look, I mean, we've had the most amazing reception since we arrived. So, it's been phenomenal atmosphere, and to have a Mexican for the first time on the podium here you saw the atmosphere. It was unbelievable.
Max said after the race that he doesn't believe in momentum. Do you? Because it seems to me that you've got a lot of momentum now.
I think for us at this stage of the championship, it's about doing the basics well. And I think today, we know that we had good starts, we had good strategy, good pit stops, good reliability. The drivers did, manage the race, brilliantly well. So that's what we need out of the last four races. Still a lot of points, on the table. So we just got to take it one day at a time.
It's not in the pocket then?
No, it's never in the pocket until the fat lady or Damon sings at the end of the year. So
Damon,
I will sing for you if you
There you go. That's on record. Damon Hill sings.
Abu Dhabi, Damon.
I think
Give us something for our Christmas party, actually. So we could, this could be it.
if you win the championship, I'll come to your Christmas party, because that's going to be some party.
Absolutely.
Well done, Christian. It was fab. And actually, just before you go, we had Checo there. Do you feel it is coming together for him now?
I think for Checo, look, his confidence has been growing. I think this car's not the easiest car to get your head around. It took him a few races, earlier in the year, but I think he's worked it out. I think we've managed to help him a bit with the setup as well, and of course that biggest thing is confidence, and I think the confidence for him is really coming in the belief of what he can do, and I think it's just at the right time for us, because we really need him to be a factor in the next four races.
Celebrate. Christian, thank you. Travel safe. See you in Brazil. So what about this momentum thing, guys?
For Max, you mean?
Yeah.
I've seen Max for many years, and not so relaxed as he is now. It's amazing for a guy 24 years old, Tom. Can you imagine?
But I mean, I remember interviewing him when he first got his F1 drive and he was 17.
17, yeah.
Okay. I'd never met a 17-year-old who could cope with questions and thinking of
Different
quick
language.
answers, different language. My God, honestly, I couldn't string a word together when I was 17.
No.
It was all I could do to,
Yes, no, that's it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would be totally intimidated by the. He's gone to. What I mean, all he could do was screw up at Zandvoort, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
and he
But
coped
he
with all
didn't,
of that.
huh? He
But he
didn't.
didn't. No.
That was amazing.
This is turning into a Red Bull fest. Timing is everything, but
Oh,
Antonio
look at this.
Perez,
little
Checo's dad.
It's a little give.
Because people listening to this can't see what is going on here, but Antonio is holding a pit board which says yes, Perez P3.
P3.
Hey, Antonio, now, as Damon says, a lot of people listening to this will have seen you next to the podium celebrations, but this is Checo's 15th podium in Formula One. You've seen them all, obviously. Just how proud were you when he was stood up on the podium there in the Forosol?
This is the most important, I think so. Not only for Checo, for the people, for the Mexican people. Everybody's excited in the Autodromo, in the country. Many people watch in the TV in Puerto Vallarta, in Guadalajara or Monterrey. The people is excited. And it's incredible for the economy. Look, the grandstand, many people, the hotels, restaurants, everybody's full now here in Mexico and the country, Cancun, Tulum, and other parts of Mexico.
Is Mexico in love with Formula One, or is it in love with your son?
I think so both. But do you remember when you the interview of Checo? Remember many years ago? Is very different. I think so. The relation of Red Bull and Checo is one of the best for the world. I think so. The future is incredible for both.
Are we going to see you at all 4 remaining races this year? Antonio, you seem to be a lucky mascot for Checo.
I think so now the most important is to win the championship, the Max win, and the Honda win the championship. It's the most important. The future is the future.
Well done to you and your
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. Nice to say. Did you hear that? He said, I want Max to win.
Yeah, well, I mean, Checo's been quite useful in that regard, hasn't he? He very nearly took points off or took a place off of Lewis today.
Cool. Nice.
Did you think, guys, at any point that Checo was going to pass Lewis Hamilton for second? You did?
Yeah, I did. The first attempt. But then he had to bend off a little bit. I think he could have made it. But yeah. If, maybe not, yeah.
I think that it's just only Lewis's brilliance really kept him ahead. Actually, to be honest, on used tyres, and right at the end, he managed to keep the gap just big enough. He had to.
They expected after that good qualifying to have a good race, but then if you see that, 40 meters outside the first corner, Valtteri said to me in the view, I don't know if he said it to you in the press conference, Tom, but he said to me, I thought he couldn't make it. He passed him, and Valtteri said to him, he's not going to make it, but he did. He did, and that was the victory of Max. Outside, first corner.
It's lights out and away we go here. And Bottas and Hamilton getting away ahead of Verstappen and Perez. Into turn 1 we go. Verstappen is into the lead ahead of Hamilton. Bottas gets tagged by Daniel Ricciardo. Perez goes onto the grass, but it's Verstappen that leads. He got the toe, he got the slipstream, he got the lead.
I was surprised at the toe that Max Verstappen got off the cars in front. I mean, it was...
Yeah, the 2 Mercedes, he was behind them, yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised at the extent of the toe. Were you?
Yeah, but really what Valtteri did was he had his eyes on Lewis, and actually he just opened a massive door for Max. When you get a toe and 2 cars are occupying the whole track and there's nowhere to go, you have to lift off. So he didn't have to lift off because Valtteri was too busy defending against Lewis going down the inside, and then opened the perfect lineup on the outside on the grippy part of the track, so he could brake as late as he wanted.
But it's not a rule in racing that never go in the middle. Choose a side. Don't go in the middle of the track. Is that a
rule?
If
you go in the middle, you've got to weave a lot.
So, but what else could he have done, Jack? I mean...
nothing.
He didn't really... Did he turn to the right?
Take your loss. That's the only thing he could have done. Take your loss and let him go. But it's not a racing instinct.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to say, I think that Toto said to us that he thought that even if Lewis had got the advantage in the early part of the race, then Red Bull still would have won it.
Guys, don't go anywhere. We've just got a message from one of our sponsors now. If you're a regular listener to the show, then you'll know that Pinks has been trying her hardest to build her pink Formula One team these past few months with the help of LinkedIn Jobs, which is the best way to find and interview the right candidates for the job. It's quicker than ever. It's especially useful if you're a small business owner, because in that role, you need to wear many hats, and LinkedIn Jobs can help save precious time that you could be spending on growing your business, and it's free. So why not make it easy on yourself and tap into the world's largest professional network of more than 30 million people? Posting a job takes just a matter of minutes, and LinkedIn Jobs is filled with useful tools and resources to help you filter and prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. My advice is to spend your time crafting a solid job description and focusing on selecting up to 10 strong skills that you require for the position, so that you can make sure your job is visible to all of the right people. So listen to this. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates worth interviewing faster. And you can post a job for free. Just visit linkedinjobs.com/F1Nation. Again, that's linkedinjobs.com/F1Nation to post a job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Max Verstappen, well, notches win number 18 in his Formula One career, win number 9 of 2021, and continues his march at the top of the Drivers' Championship, where for 11 of the last 14 races, he has led. 4 races to go. People will ask the questions, can he be stopped now? Mathematically, of course. But Adrian Newey seems to have designed him a very good car. And, well, 30 years after his first win here, he lifts the Constructors' Trophy. It's his design and driver talent in pure bond, isn't it?
Adrian, this is a Red Bull Fest, the show. We've spoken to Christian, we've spoken to Checo, but many congratulations on a superb, well, not just race here, but Austin as well. It's really coming together, isn't it?
Well, it's been a good couple of races for sure, yeah. I mean, it's a long way to go. We were obviously kind of going into Silverstone, we were feeling quite good, and it all fell apart by 2 races later. We were behind in both championships, so we know how quickly it can change, but today was a good day.
And what about the pace of your main rivals?
Well, I mean, today our benefit was tyre deg was better. We underperformed in qualifying yesterday. Max obviously did a great job at the start. And then as I say, the tyre deg was what gave us the benefit, which was, these tyres are so difficult to predict. When you're going to be better on deg, when you're going to be worse than deg compared to Mercedes. Today worked out well, but the tyres are still a black art, and I don't think any of us can claim to fully understand them.
A lot of people think since you have been back on track, the success is back. Is that correct?
That's very kind, but maybe it's coincidence. I wouldn't be too, hopefully I enjoy being here. Hopefully
but I saw you in Austin. You were very active on that front wing with your mind, with instructions, going back and forth. Yeah. How much is your influence then?
No, I mean, I enjoy being back. Missed it. Hopefully I bring something, but it's a great team, so I just try and fill in the little cracks if I see them.
I would expect that you would say on the track you can't do that much. It's more homework in England. Or can you do so much things here on the track?
No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's so many little bits at the track. The decisions on the details of the setup, how we use the tyres. In Austin, you say we had some reliability concerns over the front wing grounding. Here we had a drama with the rear wing going into qualifying. Or post FP3, which race cars aren't 100% reliable. They keep throwing things at you.
Adrian, just before you go, how much are you enjoying this battle?
Well, it'd be even more enjoyable if it's done. It's stressful, but no, I mean, for sure, it's nice to be back in a position where we can be threatening.
Are you enjoying this battle more than the battle you had back in 1996 with the man on my left?
Well, I mean, 1996 was a fabulous year because fairly early on, actually, it was clear we had a pretty decent car. So really, from about mid-season, became a battle between Damon and Jack.
From just about the moment you sacked Damon mid-season.
Nothing to do with me.
That was definitely not Adrian. No. But you know, that was 25 years ago, Adrian. I mean, you know, you've won quite a lot of races since then, haven't you? I mean, it's very, very impressive. I'm very worried about your rear wing though. It keeps falling apart. What are you going to do about that?
Yeah, I mean, we had a problem in Texas, which was completely unrelated to the problem we had here. I think here it's the same wing as we would normally run in Monaco and Hungary, but because of the low air density, then everybody runs maximum downforce here. But the fact that you get to terminal velocity means it's actually carrying more load than it would do in Hungary, and that seemed to be what was catching us out. So trying to understand it, and hasty modifications between FP3 and qualifying happily seemed to do the trick.
I've got one more question. Where would you put this car? Because I think I sent you a message after Bahrain because that car looked so beautifully balanced. Where would you put this car on your scale of cars that you've produced, the many cars that you produce? I mean, I love the FW18, obviously, but I wouldn't be surprised if you were very particularly pleased with this car.
It's not been the dominant car that the FW18 was, but to be, I guess, having kind of been in a situation since 2014 where we haven't been able to mount a fully competitive championship. I think, in fairness to ourselves, there have been times between 2014 and now where we have had a chassis that's been very, very competitive, but we haven't had the power unit to go with it. This year we've got a good power unit with Honda. They're doing a great job, and
yeah, the Honda thing is very good, isn't it? It's come at the right time for you.
Yeah, it has. So and that's exciting because it's a bit depressing when you kind of can come up with a good car, but you still can't, in truth, threaten.
Adrian, you're a superstar. Well done. It's great to see you guys going so well, and thanks for your time. Thanks for dropping by.
Thank you.
I'm in awe of that man.
Yeah.
His longevity in Formula One, the fact that he keeps coming up with these new ideas, he just nails it year in, year out.
Genius is a word that's sometimes not properly applied, but I think he has an insight that I have not seen in anybody else. Colin Chapman was his hero. I think you could say Colin perhaps is up there. Very, very few designers, Gordon Murray's and people like that, but Adrian has produced race-winning Grand Prix cars, so many, with different teams as well, He is the magic ingredient.
Did you enjoy working with him?
Of course I did. I know.
Not beyond the obvious that he gave you a good car, but as a work colleague.
Yeah. No, I really like Adrian, and love is not too strong a word, and when you've got someone who is helping you win a world championship, and he's as brilliant as Adrian is, you've got someone on your side who's is very important, but he wants to win. He's so competitive.
Does he listen to you, drivers?
Yes, and that's what I think is his special talent. But I think he spent a lot of time in Indy, and he knew the importance of confidence, because when you're going around an oval, super speed oval that they were used to do, there's more time in the driver than there is in the car. Frankly, if the driver thinks he's going to crash at that speed, then he doesn't like it.
So that's why he's so lucky with Max now. His brilliant car has a brilliant driver.
Yeah,
it comes together.
Yeah, and so he'll obviously appreciate Max's ability, but when you've got someone who's sort of listening to what you're saying, he understands that the driver, his confidence, is a big factor in the speed of the car, delivering what's the potential of the car is.
Jack, have you seen or heard from Max? Has he discussed his relationship with Adrian? Do you think they're as tight as perhaps Damon and Adrian were?
Yeah, and I've heard that they want to stay at Red Bull. Why should they change? That was a big surprise for me in Austin, because it was the first time I met and I could have the chat with Jos and Raymond together, relaxed on the terrace, next to us on the Red Bull terrace. And then they said, let's stay here. Why should we change? Let's stay with Red Bull. Adrian will make a new car. Let's do it. It was a surprise for me. So that many years ahead, I think, for Adrian and Max. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
And if Max wins the World Championship this year, right? First thing, when he does it, can you come back on the show? Because we want to talk about it. Absolutely. But how big is it going to be in Holland?
The country explodes, absolutely. Very big. You saw it in Zandvoort. He delivered, and he stayed cool. That was amazing for us as well. We were more excited and more than he. He just said, okay, won. Thank you, next race.
Guys, we've discussed Merck and Red Bull. Let's move it further down now, because I want to talk about Pierre Gasly.
Yeah, he was not very visible on TV, but he also drove a very good race.
Sensational race.
Pierre Gasly will take fourth ahead of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, that was amazing. Amazing.
I hope you enjoyed this one.
I enjoyed. Well, it was a bit lonely, but honestly, I had everything under control, and the car was so nice to drive. So, thanks a lot, guys.
The job that guy's doing this year is as good as Checo Perez, or better?
I think it's the same category. Yeah, I think it's anytime you can lead and also deliver the maximum of the potential of the car, which is what he does on a regular basis, and he seems confident in himself too, without being overly brash. You know? So no, he's got talent, that guy, and it clearly has. But the question is, what happens when a driver like that goes to Red Bull? We've seen so many drivers bounced out of Red Bull. We were talking to Alex Albon earlier. You know, I always felt that Checo, because he's had so much more experience, would be able to stand up to the forces within Red Bull that would make it difficult for a young driver. And so this is something that they have to learn, is to be a bit tougher when it comes to negotiating their place. And I think when you're beholden to Red Bull, because they supported your career, it's very difficult to say, hey, wait a minute, I want it this way. So even if you got Adrian there, you know, Adrian's, eventually they turn around and they go, you know, you're going to have to find the performance in yourself.
We've now got this intriguing situation in the Teams Championship where Alpine and AlphaTauri are tied on 106 points, 5th and 6th. Who's your money on, Jack? Who's going to finish ahead out of those two teams?
AlphaTauri.
It seems to me they've got the better car.
Yeah. And I think that the focus for Alpine is more on next year. I think AlphaTauri has to support Red Bull in getting their championship, so they're putting more effort in this car, in this championship, and Alpine is already for next year.
It doesn't sit comfortably with me, though, that Alpine boss Laurent Rossi said very recently, 100 races. We want to be gunning for the World Championship in 100 races. 98 to go.
Pooh.
Why put that pressure on yourself?
No, okay, setting a goal is not bad.
100's a very precise number, isn't it? It's like, in about, well, usually they say...
I could have said 50. That would be close.
Like Aston Martin has said, they give themselves 5 years, you know, but by the time we get to year 4, we'll have forgotten whether it's 5 years or 6 years. But
5 years is also 100 races.
You got... I don't know why they say it. They should just say, listen, our goal is to eventually get into a winning position. That's what we're here to do, and we'll keep trying until we get there. And then when we get there, we're going to try and stay there. I mean, yeah, you're right. I think putting a deadline on it is always a bit of a danger.
But maybe he wants to get the money from the suppliers and set the goal there, and then he knows the money will come.
Hey, we're talking about Ferrari. They were 5th and 6th. Leclerc.
That was strange, was it, at the end? They swapped back.
Yeah, well, they hadn't agreed. You know, I think they let Carlos have a go to see if he could get Gasly, but he couldn't. And so because he couldn't, they said, oh, all right, as you were. Leclerc wasn't too happy about letting Carlos pass, but... So they put that right. It's the right thing to do.
Was there any danger for Pierre then? Were they getting closer?
Not enough. No, they eventually know. No. And you never know what he had in hand. But yeah, I mean, they sort of said, oh, it was a good day, but really Ferrari shouldn't be fighting over 5th and 6th or wherever it was. No. So it should be. Only a few years ago they were on the front row here, but then they had to
second
change
row. You don't want a front row anymore here.
No, you don't want the front row. Front row is a disaster, isn't it? Yeah, it's
horrible. Mexico front row
works.
Never.
No.
Next year, everyone's deliberate. The front runners are going to be going deliberately slowly.
Oh, slow down. Yeah. We don't want the front row.
I was thinking about this, because actually, technically and statistically, it's proven that you want to be on the second row. But who is going to turn down the chance of being on the front row? It's a very difficult thing to turn down, isn't it?
No, I'm not going for pole position today.
Yeah, no, really. I don't think that's...
No,
that's just
never.
not in racing drivers or race teams' makeup, is it?
Do you know, and the disappointing thing about Ferrari being 5th and 6th, and Lando Norris, the only McLaren in the points, down in 10th, is that this really close fight for P3 in the Constructors' Championship that has been such a brilliant sideshow to the main event. There's now 13.5 points between those two teams. Ferrari ahead of McLaren. And you ask the guys at McLaren, they say, no, Ferrari do have the better car at the minute. It'll be interesting to see what McLaren can drag back out of this season, but it's looking hard, I think, for them to finish P3.
That was bad luck for Ricciardo today.
Was it bad luck, racing driver? What did you think of Daniel Ricciardo, in my opinion, outbraking himself and hitting the back of Valtteri Bottas?
We know this business about what is a racing line. It's to make the corner as shallow as possible. Well, he made it as tight as possible, didn't he, by going down the inside. So you got one option: you can stop and then turn right, 90 right, which he couldn't do, or you can go straight across it. And it basically what happened, he hadn't got enough, and it's the dirty side of the track. But Valtteri did cut into the apex, which I think it's always worth leaving a bit of space at the beginning part of the race. So I used to try and kind of look really vague about where I was going, and then I hope that put people off, not knowing whether I was going to go right or left. So yeah, just taking the normal racing line into the first corner of a race was probably not as a good move from Valtteri. So anyway, yeah, I think Danny should have backed out of that a bit earlier.
Guys, anything else caught your eye in this race before we move on? I mean, Vettel 7th, Raikkonen 8th.
Yeah. I mean, he's performing well, isn't he? Now he's about to give up. So it's all a bit bizarre, isn't it? You got these interesting old drivers having a nice time whilst they still can.
Is Giovinazzi keeping his place, boys?
What did he finished 11th, didn't he? Well, the team, Fred Vasseur, Alfa Romeo boss, said that they're going to make the decision shortly, I think is what we can say. What do you think, Jack? Do you think...
The Andretti deal is off.
100%
I think they didn't grab Giovinazzi. They just kept him on hold. I think they can continue with him. Or should they do a young guy into the team?
Oscar Piastri?
Yeah,
maybe?
Piastri, yeah.
What do you think of Giovinazzi?
I think he's clearly has his moments, but I haven't seen. It's not like he's a Pierre Gasly, you know. It's not like he's someone who's shone. I would say, good, able driver. Had his moments, but.
So what will Fred do with the team? With Valtteri, he can put somebody next to him, where he can invest in the future, maybe.
How have you found it, Jack? Do you enjoy hanging out in Mexico City? I mean, there's very few places that we come to on this World Championship.
This year is that it's more relaxed on the streets. We have a shorter drive to the track. Normally,
is that because you're in a different
hour.
hotel? Or?
No. I think it's what they keep the crossings open. We always had a terrible problem to get another crossing because the cars were blocking every crossing, and they changed a little bit.
I know what this is. Dutch TV gets a police escort. That's what you're telling us, isn't it?
No, absolutely not. No. But we're enjoying this, and we're now going to Cancun for 2 days.
Well, you have a great time. I think Carlos Sainz was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was,
Before
this race. Yeah.
Well, I'll be just popping on a plane, and what is it? It's about 5,000 miles south, isn't it? Sao Paulo from here.
Yeah, it's a long flight from here.
Yeah. So
but
guys,
then we'll see there. The same fight again?
The same fight, yes. I'm really hoping, because I like this idea of the championship going down to the wire, because I don't want the championship to be over. I've got Qatar and Saudi Arabia, so I want to be there when it happens.
Now, hey, Damon, you mentioned Saudi Arabia. Now, Rosanna Tennant, who is Formula One presenter and broadcaster, went to Jeddah only last week to check on progress, and I caught up with her yesterday to ask her all about it. Rosanna, welcome back to F1 Nation. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, always love talking to you, but specifically, I wanted to ask you about Saudi Arabia, because you've just come back from the track. What did you find in Jeddah?
Yeah, I was out there last week just for 48 hours, a fleeting trip. And what I found was a lot of hard work. Construction is well underway, building the Jeddah Corniche circuit. I have never seen so many people working on a construction site. Everywhere you look, things are happening. You forget, because we go to these wonderful racetracks around the world, you forget what goes into making a race circuit. It's not just laying asphalt. You've got to make sure you've got areas for the fans, you've got areas for Paddock Club, the pit building, the paddock for the teams and drivers. drivers to spend their time in over the course of a race weekend. So everywhere I looked, there was activities going on, but I have to say it is starting to look like a racetrack, Tom.
And what kind of racetrack have we got when we get there? I mean, I've read reports that it's going to be one of the fastest street circuits in the world.
It is going to be. That
Right.
is what they are aiming for, the fastest street circuit on the Formula One calendar. It's going to be incredibly fast flowing. There are 27 corners, but Tom, between you and me, the corners are quite hard to find. Apart from, I found turn 13, the banked turn 13. I found turn 27, the last turn on the circuit, but they're quite tricky because it's so fast flowing. You're kind of like, oh, there was a corner. So we're going to see some hugely fast speeds, 320 kilometers an hour. It's going to be thrilling, I think, and of course all under the lights.
Were you seeing the asphalt being laid? I mean,
Tom,
in front of your eyes, was it going down?
We nearly went on the wet asphalt, and when I say nearly, I mean did.
I'm going to look out for your size 8s as we're walking around.
Size 8, size 10s, don't tell anyone. They were laying it as we were there. We were watching them rolling it. Of course, they've got to make sure it's absolutely perfect for Formula One. The levels of precision, 3 layers of asphalt they're using out there. And it was fascinating watching it all come together. And I said we were there for 48 hours, and we went there twice. So we did some filming on the first day, went back again for the second evening, so we had a bit of continuity with my filming. And you could already see the steps that they were making. It's 24/7 construction, shifts, they are there all the time, and you actually could see the changes from one day to the next.
Amazing, amazing. And Michael Massey, the FIA's race director, was there as well. What did he make of it?
Yeah, he was there. So he was doing a track walk, a bit like they do on a normal race weekend at a track that's already been built. But he was there with the Tilke project managers and the construction guys, walking the track, just checking that everything was kind of coming together as it should be. Because, of course, the track gets handed over to Formula One and the FIA. And then everybody with the expertise comes in and puts in the safety barriers. We've got safety barriers coming from America, Tom, because they need them to be so special, so specialist, the ones that NASCAR use essentially. So once all of those people come to the track and bring their expertise, we are going to have a sensational F1 track.
It's going to be a night race. It's an 8:30 start local time. What sort of temperatures are we going to find at night there?
Well, when we arrived in Saudi Arabia, I was told, you've come at a really good time, it's just got a bit cooler. And I was like, it's 36 degrees. So it was cooling down a little bit in terms of sort of seasonal temperatures. But when the sun goes away, it really does drop off. The temperature drops away. And the wind actually got up a little bit. I was having trouble with my pieces to camera, Tom. My hair was kind of rustling in the breeze because you are, of course, next to the Red Sea on one side. And then actually we've got 2 bodies of water that the track passes between. You've got a lagoon. It's going to be rather lovely. I know you're in the media centre at the tracks and you're going to be on an island. So bring, your sun cream.
And my swimmers by the sun.
Yeah, and then the Red Sea on the other side. So the wind gets up a little bit, but the temperatures do ebb away in the night. So that's going to be an interesting challenge because I'm sure some of the sessions, a bit like we see in Bahrain, will take place in the blazing heat of the day, and then it will be cooler at the night time.
Right, and what about lights? What do we got?
Well, it felt a bit like daylight when I was walking around. They kindly turned the lights on for us so we could see what they were going to be like. 1200 lux, and so that sort of creates the same sort of light strength that we see in Singapore. So the drivers will feel a little bit like it's daylight. We've got 627 lampposts around the track. And of course, there are going to be other lights as well on the bridges. We've got, interestingly, you'll like this, the cars pass under 3 structures, so 3 bridges, as it were. One's called the Royal Overlook, and then there are 2 other parts that they pass underneath. And that's the most underpasses that we go through on a Formula One track. There you go.
So 27 corners, 3 underpasses.
There's a lot of unique features to this circuit, Tom.
Now look, as was proven in Mexico this weekend, you cannot predict this Formula One season, but I'm going to ask you to predict which car it's going to suit. I mean, we know it's going to be very fast. Is it going to be a Mercedes track? Is it going to be a Red Bull track? Or is there just no way of knowing at this point?
I feel like it might be more to Mercedes liking. It's incredibly fast flowing, as I mentioned. It hasn't got any of those sort of slower corners that we've come to sort of associate with Red Bull. I would say perhaps it is a bit more of a traditional circuit. The Middle Eastern tracks, a bit like that, the sort of Bahrains and Abu Dhabi. So yeah, I think maybe Mercedes.
Wow, it sounds very exciting. Rosanna, thank you very much for the update.
And
Great to see you again.
I'm not going to the race. I'm going to be in the commentary box in the UK, so I can't wait to see and hear what you think of it. And I think it's going to be a cracking race. And who knows, it could be the championship decider.
No, that's going to happen in Abu Dhabi.
Oh, well, okay, maybe.
It's going to be a hell of a track. seriously fast. She said 27 corners,
Whoa.
banked corners.
They
It's
want
got
to
it
be
all.
the fastest city track?
Yeah,
What did they say?
yeah. And we all know how fast Baku is, or parts of Baku. So exciting to be there. And the great thing is, Damon, the scuba diving on the Red Sea is meant to be really good. Is that your thing or not?
Not really, no, Tom. No.
You stay above the water.
Yeah, I don't really like putting goggles on and going underwater much. I went scuba diving with Michael Schumacher once. Did I ever tell you that?
No, now that must be it. There's a story here.
Well, it was '93. We went scuba diving. Ended up on the same boat going scuba diving on the Great Barrier Reef in Australia.
So was it a coincidence, or had you organised to do it together?
No, we hadn't organised it to do together, but this is before everything kicked off with me and him. But even so, I don't know whether I was more frightened of the sharks or him when I was
Did
down
he
there,
win?
but I kept looking over my shoulder.
Michael Schumacher, when he does something with you, he
wanted to go deeper, didn't he? Yeah, no,
deeper.
go deeper.
Come on,
than
Damon,
me.
deeper.
It's very scary, you know. You get to the edge, then it just gets. There's the abyss, you know. You go off the edge of the coral reef, and it just goes deeper and darker. And so I'm not really big into scuba diving.
Hey, but Jack, do you think it's going to be more of the same in Brazil? Let's bring it back a couple of races.
Difficult, Tom, because in Austin we thought wrong, here wrong. So I think I don't know it anymore. Everybody says it could be Red Bull favorite track, but it can be the other way around.
If they finish 1-2 in the same order that they did here in Mexico, suddenly Max is going to be more than a race win ahead of Lewis with only 3 races to go.
Yeah, that could be. But, you know, it's racing. Every race is important.
Well, guys, thank you for your time. Damon, we haven't had time to do any Ask Damon questions this week, but we will in the future. So can you just give all the listeners their call to arms?
If you want to ask me a question or any of the panel, send us a voice message to askdamonhill@gmail.com.
So guys, thank you very much. Damon, travel safe back to the UK. Jack, have a great time in Cancun.
Okay, boys, thank you very much.
F1 Nation is produced by Formula One in association with Audio Boom Studios.